Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes, would you please read the minutes from the previous meeting?
The Board of Trustees of Harlan Township met in regular session the 16th day of October 2024 at regular meeting place of 8276 State Route 132. Trustees Edward Brzezinski, Kevin Kern, and Marcus Shelton present. Meeting called to order by Mr. Shelton at 7 p.m. Mr. Shelton asked all present to stand and say a pledge of allegiance. Minutes read from regular session October 2nd, 2024. Mr. Shelton made an amendment to change Ohio Revised Code from 3358.17G1 to 121.22G1, second by Mr. Kern. Mr. Brzezinski made a motion to approve minutes, second by Mr. Kern. Mr. Lampton from Warren County Parks discussed parks across the county, stating working on common goals throughout the county. Assistant Chief Mason reported fire department membership voted to approve regular membership for Michaela Anderson. Mr. Shelton made a motion to approve membership from Michaela Anderson, second by Mr. Brzezinski. Mr. Mason reported Wayne's Way project completed. Road department working on base repair to Pleasant Renner Road. Continued work on interior finish at maintenance building and large tree removed at Guston Ryder Road. Mr. Mason asked if trustees would take questions from live stream. Mr. Shelton stated we'll discuss at a later time. Mr. Mason discussed House Bill 47 AED requirements for Township. Mr. Mason is looking into options for Township. Mr. Mason reported the DAR event on Saturday, October 26th at 10:30 a.m. to honor Benjamin Baldwin. Event will take place at Edwardsville Cemetery. Old business, Mr. Brzezinski attended the Warren County's rural zoning meeting. Mr. Shelton discussed Tahoe from Warren County Sheriff's Office delivered and need to be added to the Township insurance. Mr. Shelton discussed bleachers donated by the Farm Club at Whitaker Park. New business, Mr. Brzezinski discussed the Warren County Township Association dinner. Mr. Brzezinski made a motion to pay for dinner calls for elected officials, seconded by Mr. Shelton. Mr. Mason discussed employment status of Eric Likens. Mr. Mason requesting to hire Eric Likens full-time for road department with salary pay starting at $22 per hour, start with 80 hours of sick time, 40 hours vacation time immediately, and in 6 months receive additional 40 hours of vacation time, effective October 26, 2024. Mr. Shelton made a motion to hire Eric Likens as full-time road department employee with requested benefits, seconded by Mr. Brzezinski. Mr. Mason discussed employment status of Philip Henson's seasonal position ending October 31st. Mr. Mason requesting to change position from seasonal position to intermittent employee. Mr. Kern made a motion to change Philip Henson from seasonal position to intermittent employee, second by Mr. Shelton. Community comments. Katie Cordry asked status of Chief Bennett investigation and feels since Frank Williams was on levy committee, not sure if able to give impartial investigation. Mrs. Cordry asked trustees if they have a backup EMS fire plan for coverage for Township. Katie Horvath explained that the investigation for workplace misconduct and that a private citizen was appointed to investigate and then submit report to trustees. There was no timeline for the investigation. Resident asked trustees how investigators selected. Mr. Shelton stated it had 2 parties that were contacted. One person did not reply to request. Jordan Demery asked trustees if they have a plan for the future. Mr. Shelton made a motion to go into executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G1 to consider the employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of an employee, second by Mr. Brzezinski. Roll call, Mr. Brzezinski, yes. Mr. Kern, yes. Mr. Shelton, yes. Mr. Shelton made a motion to adjourn executive session with no action at this time, second by Mr. Brzezinski. Roll call, Mr. Brzezinski, yes. Mr. Kern, yes. Mr. Shelton, yes. We had no correspondence. Ms. Williams gave written financial report to trustees. Mr. Kern made a motion to pay bills, seconded by Mr. Brzezinski. Mr. Kern made a motion to adjourn, seconded by Mr. Brzezinski. Meeting adjourned at 8:38.
Do either of you have any corrections or additions?
I have none.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as read?
Motion to approve the minutes is read. Second. Steve, are you ready to give the fire and the administrative report?
I'm ready. So only have on the fire side, engine 81 is currently out of service. This is at Atlantic being regular maintenance. There's several water leaks, tank, pump leaks, some wiring issues as well as the annual pump test that's required. Jeff says he needs $8,000. So I'd like a motion not to exceed. You don't exactly know until they get into it and get it apart, know what it's going to be. So I'd like a motion not to exceed $8,000 for the service on engine 81.
I'll make the motion not to exceed $8,000 on engine 81. Second. And Jeff pays for everything about that.
I think so. Second. Let's go.
I'm hoping it won't be that much, but
Open. Warren County Engineers Office assisted our road crew on Pleasant Renner Road. They removed 11 large trees. There's one left to go that we're going to do with assistance from Rick and Roger Howard. It's right there on their farms. We're going to try to get that squared away without having to hire that out done again. Crew has got the park closed. Bathrooms have been winterized. They went through the trails and got all of the fallen down trees off the trails. So that's done. Getting snow equipment ready. The manufacturer was down. When was that, Jeff?
that's Wednesday.
Yeah, so just go over the truck since we haven't used it on snow yet to get the computer program and all those things. So that truck is ready to go. Phillips' last day as seasonal did end up being October 30th. Well, that one day matters or not, but that was his final day. He is now considered intermittent. I did go ahead and order the AEDs for the park. We talked about this last meeting. So there was a time to have those installed or available. Problem was there was everybody in the state that's buying them at the same time, so you can't necessarily get them. So I did get the cabinets. The total cost with getting the discount ordering them in October was $43,1262. So I need a motion for that $43,1262 for the AEDs as well as the cabinets.
I'll make a motion. We approve the $43,1262 for the AEDs and the cabinets. I can second that.
And then with that House Bill 47, Ohio Department of Health did release its emergency action plan for use of those. And we do have to adopt a resolution or pass a resolution adopting this emergency action plan. So I give you each one a copy of it. Basically like a CPR protocol, standard flow chart, how that works, as well as just basic use. So I'll turn that over to Jenny from there.
This is the wording that the House wants us to use.
Yes, it's there at the top that this model may be used to satisfy the requirements of House Bill 47. You can make your own if you want, but I didn't really want to. So I just went with what they sent us.
You have any questions? Anybody have any questions?
Not necessarily, but I mean, how do we want the wording? We just say the whole
The whole thing.
Just
The whole thing.
It's going to be
The emergency action plan.
House Bill 47 EAP.
Well, this would be our emergency action plan. For the AEDs.
The resolution is going to be 110624-1.
Oh, yes. Put it in context.
I'll make a motion. We pass resolution 110624-1 for the emergency action plan of the AEDs.
I will second that.
Any other questions on that?
That's all.
So,
So you have to,
That's it.
we just adopt that.
We don't have it. So there's a third step in that where you have to train the staff that work at the locations. So this bill was passed for schools, YMCA's, all those things. So they just kind of generalized language in there. So if you have staff that works at each location, paid by the township, then you have to also train them on a quarterly basis on the use. But we do not have staff that works at either location. We just meet the definition of the requirement.
One of those goes at the park and one of them goes here at this building.
Yes, there's one that's heated, one of the park is heated. So it's got an electric run to it. That way, obviously, the pads have to be relatively warm to sit. So, and I do have the cabinets. I just don't have the actual AEDs. And there's no schedule for delivery at this point because everybody's bought them at the same time. And we're trying to
Do
get
you
them.
guys have one on that end? You think
You
if we get this, you
I already talked about it.
you already worked it out?
You're late.
You're way
You
late.
guys are good. Thank you. So Mike, you can handle it?
Yes.
Okay.
So the last thing I have, this was Larry Burchett's 15th year with the township, and I did his annual review earlier today, so I attached that as well. So for a discussion point. That's all I have.
That will be an executive. Either of you have any questions for Steve and his report?
No.
Let's go to old business. David?
RZC commission yesterday,
I'm sorry, what did you say?
rural zoning commission was yesterday during the election. Deal with the wording on all the county's new regulations on solar regulations. Everything to do with solar has to go through, is permitted and goes through the county. My thoughts are it wants to keep the solar, industrial solar in check, but would encourage residential solar.
They're not gonna be putting up these solar fields.
58, well, the biggest solar field in Warren County is the Cincinnati Zoo. It's 230 some acres. But they sectioned it all off and parceled it all off to stay within the realm of the county's regulations. As a farmer, I oppose it. I think it's great
Oh, yeah,
for a
that's-
parking lot. I think it's great for a building. I think it's great on unusable ground, but I think it's a sin to put it in a field.
It's an eyesore.
And I think the county is kind of late to the table, but it's glad that we're taking some action because most other counties are not taking it, and the state has to regulate it. I don't know the number, but I'd say it's just a handful of the 88 counties in Ohio that have any solar regulations.
If you get solar, if you want to put solar like on top of your barn or on top of your house or something, you gotta go through the county and
Yeah.
have their blessing to,
Correct.
and get it permitted and all
It
that.
has to be so far set back from the road. It cannot be, if you were to set it off of your barn and say it in a field, it has to be some type of a block. I mean, I don't have the regulations, but it's pretty extensive. Say you would have a beauty mound between the panels and the road or neighbors. There's I think the county has taken a good approach to it. And this is like, I think I've heard this already. This is the third time I've heard this because the planning commission heard it and the RZC, BZA. So I think there's one more step and then it will be adopted to the county.
Does that include the windmills or just solar only?
I think this applied to solar only. I don't know. I didn't really see anything that applied to windmills. I've put up 4 myself or been involved. I was the laborer that put up 4 of them, and I don't remember at the time even getting a permit. Of course, we're talking 15 to 20 years ago. But I think solar is a great idea, and I'm glad that the county is being proactive and trying to regulate it somehow. Better late than never. That's all I have.
You guys have any questions for Ed while he's talking about that? Got a lot of farm fields.
I drove to London, Ohio, this spring, and I was dumbfounded. I know that You know, a lot of the very wealthy people in the nationally wealthy have a lot of ground in Ohio, but Central Ohio is the corn belt of Ohio. It's the best. It's the black dirt of Ohio. The vein comes in through Indiana and Illinois, and Plain City is kind of it's the most desirable farm ground in Ohio, and I drove for many miles. As far as I could see, both sides, it was all solar, and chain link fence around the whole thing. And you know, my thoughts are how do you maintain that? I mean, we have a hard time maintaining the fields and the brush that we have today, and right now I know that they're using goats. People are buying up, you know, basically a farmer says, okay, I got 50 goats. I'm going to like lease them out. And he hauls them from place to place to place to place. And then the rest of them are chemically treated. So, you know, we try to maintain less glyphosate and less chemical. But when you're doing solar, it's all chemicals. So that's really not talked about when you hear the big picture. You know, you don't see the big picture. You hear that solar is a great thing, and you know they're capturing a free product basically. There's a lifespan to it. They only last 20 years, and the county is going to require you to take out every bit of it, the infrastructure, everything underground, everything, once you abandon it. And that's part of it. And there has to be money in it, basically in an account to take it all out when you are done with it. I don't see why anybody would ever want to take it out. I would think they would just replace panels, you know, after a period of time. I don't see why they would ever abandon that. I mean, because that's the most expensive part of it, was putting it together, and you know, to just abandon it. I can't see electricity getting that cheap to where they would just walk away from that. And that was yesterday's meeting. Very informational. That's all I have for Earl.
Yep. See, the only thing I have was the DAR event over at Edwardsville honoring Sergeant Baldwin. They had the Little Miami JROTC came out, and the Warren County Sheriff's Color Guard. So that was very nice of them to come out and help honor him. And then we were also given a flag from Washington, D.C. I guess it was sent out to the DAR. They donated it to the township. So I don't know. Have you ever gotten anything like that? You know what I'm aware of. I'm not sure what we're supposed to do with it, but we have that. That's all I have to hold. Do you have any? I do not. Jenny?
No.
New business. Ed?
I'll be going to the county trustee meeting tomorrow night. That's all I have.
Yep. Actually, this should have been under old. Where are we with the new Tahoe we got from the sheriff's department?
It's still sitting.
Because I mean, have the officers talked about getting that lettered or getting stuff swapped over?
I haven't.
Okay. Do you have any new? Did you have new?
I do. I received an email from the auditor's office asking if we could post something on our website about the upcoming 2025 dog license. She sent like a little brochure type thing too.
That's the auditor.
Because it goes through.
Is it like a link they want posted into our website, or just the
It could be. It says blah, 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 reach out about posting the dog license renewal period on social media platforms, newsletters, magazines, websites. So would it be possible for you to do this? So they're basically, yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I don't have the printout that she sent for the press release, but there's a press release that they had on it. But she's just asking if we will put something on our website, and if you guys approved it, I was going to send it to Steve to send it to that lady though.
Yep.
Then the other thing I had is I would like to propose to, on the part-time year-round salary employees, instead of paying them twice a month, I would like to propose paying them once a month at the first meeting. So like, they've already got paid for part of this month. So I would skip next meeting, but the December 1st, or not the December 1st, but the first meeting in December, pay them for the last half of November, and then from there on, pay them monthly instead of at each meeting.
They'd be all right with that?
I asked Steve and he said he didn't care.
I don't have opinion on it yet. It doesn't matter to me.
I just wonder if that'll restrict us, though. I mean, they don't make a whole lot part-time.
I mean, it's just going from 2 checks a month to 1 check a month, is all I'm saying. It's gonna be the same amount,
Right.
just
Yeah, I
1
understand
check,
that,
not
yeah.
2.
Well, you know how people live, though.
That's what I'm saying. Are they all right with that? They're all right with that?
Yeah.
You wait on that?
I mean, you'll just have to learn to budget.
And this would only be the part-time year-round salary. That's all I was looking at, not the road department. Road department's every 2 weeks.
What are you gonna
Get a motion for that?
Yeah, we will need to do a
Yes.
motion because of changing the way we pay for part-time. You haven't got anything on that? Any issues with it?
Oh, they don't.
I don't have a problem with it. Can't speak for everybody else.
I mean,
I
we
just
have
hate-
3.
I just hate to say, well, I agree to that, and then to be really upset with that. Did we even run by them?
I have not, no.
No, I just thought of this within the last
I
few
think it's
days
a
with
great
going
idea.
through things with
I'd like to let them know.
altering.
You, Dusty, and Jason.
I looked at our handbook and it does not say that they get paid. We have to pay them a certain time. I did double check on that, so I wanted to make sure that that wasn't going to be any.
No, I just hope they're all right with it.
And if they want to yell at somebody, they can yell at me because it's just,
If
it was my idea.
Make the motion.
If it becomes an issue, we just
Change it
go
back.
back in. I'll make the motion to approve the part-time paid
Salary.
salary once a month.
Second.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Right, and then this time, JD, I'm gonna keep your cell phone. You received a request from Chief Bennett's legal counsel. I mean, he wanted a continuation.
Yeah, do you want me to summarize kind of where you are in the process and what he's asking for?
Yeah.
Okay. So, the board, as I understand it, is prepared today to go forward on a hearing to discuss the report that was submitted by your investigator about the fire chief. And you have a statute that says, you're operating under this statute that says, the trustees have the authority to appoint firefighters. And it also says those appointees shall continue in office until removed from office as provided by section 733.35 to 733.39 of the Ohio Revised Code to initiate removal proceedings. And for that purpose, the board shall designate the fire chief or a private citizen to investigate the conduct and prepare the necessary charges in conformity with those sections. When you go to those sections of the revised code, it's a process that's outlined in the revised code. It's really designed for municipalities, but it also applies to townships. And the conduct is broadly listed in there as bribery, malfeasance, misfeasance, nonfeasance, misconduct in office, gross neglect of duty, gross immorality, or habitual drunkenness. So here's where we are in the process. The board has initiated those removal proceedings. They've appointed a private citizen investigator. This was all done at prior meetings. The private citizen investigator that they have appointed is Frank Williams. He has, it's my understanding, he has completed his investigation. He has written a report and charges under his investigation. He's delivered that report and charges to the board. He's also delivered a copy, well, I think that actually you ended up serving a copy on the chief. So the chief has a copy of that report as well. That was done on November 5th, so yesterday. Section 733.36 says, charges filed with the legislative authority, which is the board, shall be heard at the next regular meeting thereof, unless the legislative authority extends the time for the hearing, which shall be done only on the application of the accused. So the board has the authority, the board does not have the authority on its own to extend the time for that hearing. They can only do that if the chief requests that hearing to be extended. And we did receive a communication from the Chief's Counsel yesterday asking for a continuation or a continuance of today's hearing. So the reasons that he gave is his unavailability, that his legal counsel's unavailability on short notice. He gave the reason that the chief is unavailable tonight. I think he works another job, and so he's working that job tonight, couldn't be available for the hearing. So he's asked for the issue to be heard at the next regular meeting, which will be November 20th, I believe. The board has discretion whether or not to grant that continuance of the date. I'll advise you that I think it's reasonable. It's a reasonable request that he's made. You know, we don't want to create any situation where later down the road he could argue that you've deprived him of due process. This we can anticipate might be, you know, whatever action you take. I don't know what action you're going to take once you hear all the evidence. You don't know what action you're going to take because you haven't heard the evidence. But if in fact you decide to take some action that is detrimental to the chief, he could appeal at a later time. And so you want to give him every full and fair opportunity to present his side of the story. And if that means continuing this out another 2 weeks, my recommendation would be that you do so. But I'll let you all make that decision. So someone should, I would recommend that somebody make a motion one way or the other.
How do you guys feel about that?
I think it's a fair thing to do,
Prudent?
give the continuance.
I guess you kind of answered my questions. Was what the reason was unavailability. That was really my only concern. Was would have thought this would have been of utmost importance, but
You didn't get your
I
report till
understand that they
yesterday.
didn't.
All right, you said you got the report yesterday, Dave? So, that's a lot of time.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion.
We're currently under administrative leave for investigation, correct?
Correct.
Paid leave. How do you feel about that? I mean, what
Well,
if
That's a different
you're
subject. That's a
asking
different
for
subject.
more time?
right now they're just asking, they're asking for a continuance for 14 days. So that would be the next meeting.
Mm-hmm. And you, not to interrupt your deliberation, but there is a statute that says pending any proceedings, so prior to the hearing, the accused person may be suspended by majority vote of all members elected to the legislative authority, but such suspension shall not be for a period longer than 15 days. 15 days. So if you're concerned that he's still on paid administrative leave, you have the report, you've probably reviewed the report. If you feel like there's some grounds in the report where you want to stop paying him for the next, until the next hearing, you have the authority to do so. or you can leave him on paid administrative leave. It's up to you all whether you want to do that, but there is a statute that provides you that authority.
15 days.
This has been going on since what, September 18th?
Wow.
Been one delay after another, so I don't know. If you guys want to do the continuance,
I'll make the motion to grant Trustee Bennett the continuance
15 days.
until the 20th of November.
You should do a roll call vote.
Hang on, let me write that all down. Mr. Brzezinski,
Yes.
Mr. Kern,
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
no.
Ooh. Of course. Reinvestigator and now no. Wow.
Wow.
You think?
I smell a rat.
Also our duty to oversee the meetings to make sure there's nothing unruly. We try to keep mutual respect. Okay, we have a job to do. We don't like it, but we got to do it. Well, with it being, been no delays on our end, and he's been on paid leave since September. I'm gonna recommend we remove him from paid leave to unpaid suspension until the investigation. Matter of fact, I'll make the motion.
Second.
Said until,
Until the investigation.
The 20th is your
15 days.
next regular meeting?
Pending the results of the investigation, yeah. Let's do a roll call on that also.
hang on, I'm trying to write it all down. And I don't believe I have a second on that. At least I didn't hear one. Thank you. Mr. Brzezinski,
Yes.
Mr. Kern,
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
Can I make one more recommendation, sort of unsolicited?
Mhm.
So, as part of this process, the chief is entitled to ask the board to issue subpoenas for witnesses, and to present him with some of the documents ahead of time that might be presented in the hearing. So that's just kind of normal due process, and he may be asking you all to do that. The problem is you are a board, and the same problem that we had today where we couldn't just tell him, yeah, it's gonna be continued, don't appear. You as a board have to make those decisions together, as you just did on the issue of the continuance. So my fear is he's gonna ask for those things sometime between now and the 20th, and you won't have any way of making that decision because that would violate the open meetings law, obviously, to have any discussions outside of that. So my recommendation is maybe that you grant some authority to the township administrator to exercise any administrative powers necessary under 733.38. So that for efficiency of getting that done, getting those documents to him ahead of time, getting the subpoenas issued that he wants issued, and that will prevent any further delay of your hearing as well. So that's my recommendation.
Would we be able to have a special meeting for that?
You
Or-
could, or you could
empower
just grant the authority
grant
to
it.
the township
Yeah.
administrator. He'll probably work with me on getting those things out to the people that he wants subpoena.
I think that would be best.
Yeah, because it's just been one delay after another.
Just do that.
I'll make a motion, we approve the administrator, give him the powers to work with Is it his legal counsel or does that go through you?
Yeah, just grant him the powers that the legislative authority already has under 733.38.
Oh, 3-9.
It's 3.8,
She's what
sorry.
you get that?
I did, and if I have questions, I'll ask Katie to make sure I have it right.
Yeah, I think I made a motion. That'd be a second.
733.38. I'll second.
No, we need to on that.
The only other, sorry, one more recommendation. You might want to appoint an acting fire chief while he's gone, in case you have something that comes up that needs to be addressed in your fire department, either employment-wise or otherwise.
The assistant chiefs can't handle it. We have Steve
Well,
and Jamie.
if you just name them as the acting fire
We have.
chiefs. You've already done that?
Yeah,
we've already done
Okay,
that.
Yeah.
you've already done
We're
it, don't worry about
done.
it.
That wasn't official. That was a recommendation that you had made,
Yeah,
that we didn't need to, at the time, we didn't need to appoint anybody because you saw the fire chief. I don't think that's actually done.
yeah.
Officially.
But if you've suspended him from his position altogether at this point, because when he's on paid administrative leave, he's still required to report to work when you require him to.
Right.
Not all the time, but if there's something you need from him, or if there's some duty you need him to perform on paid administrative leave, he's still required to do that. Now that you've suspended him without pay, you really don't have anybody acting in that fire chief capacity at all anymore, or that you could direct to. So I would recommend appointing just an acting fire chief for the next 2 weeks.
Is it an option to do both of us?
You can, it's a little tricky when it comes to who really has the authority or not. I would recommend one person.
You're saying Jamie.
Yeah, I would recommend Jamie, but he's, yeah, I don't know how that works. You can recommend, but I don't know. He doesn't have to accept, correct?
No.
Can't make him. I
You
can't.
could appoint him, he could say, I don't wanna do it, I guess.
This question.
Can we
Say no.
Can we just say both their names and then they decide which one wants to do it?
You can,
That's
it's a little tricky for them to sort that out,
They can
but
work it out. They work well together.
What is arm wrestling quarters?
I'll make a motion to appoint Steve Mason and Jamie Whitaker to decide which one wants to be the acting chief through the process.
Second.
Well, I do need to back up just to make sure there's clarification, because I don't think if it was said, I did not hear. You said remove, mark on the, we're removing Dusty from paid leave. Is that effective today?
Yep. Right.
Just making sure, because I do not remember hearing that.
Did you have anything else?
No.
While we're on this subject, I've got a few recommendations. I'd like to get the levy committee reconvened ASAP to explore the needs and any options of the fire department, the EMS. You guys good? We're kind of being held hostage on everything. We got to keep moving forward. Government moves slowly. There's time constraints. I'd like to get that going again.
Absolutely.
And Steve, if you could, you were on the levy committee, so you have everybody's emails. If you could kind of let everybody know and see what we can find that first date. The firehouse remodel.
I'd like to initiate that very soon.
Well, I know we asked you to work with the chief and whoever else on that project. I mean, March 20th, we had the revised plans for Station 81 from Harvest Design. That was discussion with the officers. April 3rd, there was a report that the work continues to finalize the drawings for Station 81. The last information we received was on June 5th. Still waiting for information related to the renovation project. So it's been several years on trying to get the windows replaced from all the termite damage. All that needs to be somebody needs to head that up and get the ball rolling. I don't know.
I'd like to work on this project.
I'd like to, okay. Why don't you we're gonna put you, I just feel there's a big gap between the board and the fire department, and things don't happen, and it needs to be filled. So if you could, is there a committee on the renovation project? Not that I'm aware of. Do you have access to any of the plans, or?
I don't believe so.
Who is that with part of the design? Can't remember her name.
Sorry.
I don't think we're gonna be able to use her.
Laura.
Laura. Oh, it's Laura Mueller. Oh, okay.
She's here.
Oh, is she?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm right here.
Do you know where we're at on that project at all?
I was working strictly with Dusty on that, so that you tell me.
Well, I don't know. I mean, your communications, do we have plans? Were they ever submitted?
As far as I know, you guys have now taken them to an architect. My part was complete. So the preliminary.
Okay. Well, if you can head that up and get that ball rolling. I mean, we've been trying to get levies on for part-time paid. They have no place to sleep. If we start a renovation project, they still have no place. All that needs to be completed.
I think
We're kind of behind the 8 ball on everything.
it would be also a good gesture towards the community to, I mean, if we're gonna be asking for a levy, we need to be showing some initiatives that we're actually making the accommodations to make it happen.
Right. Well, I mean, we already have the funds for that. We don't need a levy for it. The funds are sitting there.
Right. You don't know the architect that these went to?
Yeah. Or no, she said they haven't been submitted to an architect.
You guys have already taken them to an architect, and that's part of your meeting minutes that you have. You go back and read your own meeting minutes. You guys have taken them to an architect. I don't know the name of the architect. I am not involved with that part.
Right.
I just was coming up with a preliminary plan to help you trustees see what you could visually do with the interior of that building without building an addition.
Right. And what
So
you came
that
up
was
with.
strictly my part, and then now the architect is taken over, so I have no idea who they. It's part of your meeting minutes, so if you go back and read them.
I made a few recommendations for an architect, but I don't know exactly
I
what
don't
one
think they were ever submitted to an architect.
I don't know that they went to any, but
It was never reported to us.
I saw them on the table one time and walked the building to make sure that there would be enough space. There's plenty of space.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, can you get to the bottom of it and
I'll work on that, yes.
let's see. You guys have anything else to be brought?
No.
All right. At this time, I'll make the motion. We go into, let's see, what is that called? Executive session per what?
You can do community comments first. Or later.
Oh, yeah, we can do some community comments. Yeah, let's do that. So you guys can do that. Let's do community comments.
I haven't just wanted to check.
Well, our executive session, I will say our executive session has nothing to do with the fire chief. It's a road department employee, so. Is there any community comments before we go into executive session?
I have a question. Didn't you vote 2-1 to keep him on paid administrative leave?
Yes.
And then you turned around and did away with that? That
2
he's
to
not
1.
being heard anymore?
It was 2-1 on the extension of the hearing.
Yeah, to
And
extend
then
this
it was,
hearing.
Continuation.
they were all in agreement with the unpaid suspension.
Okay, okay. That's not the way I understood it.
Susan,
I'm just here on the behalf of the village to see if we can have snow removal again this year, as the township has provided to us.
have any issues with that? Just keep the same
We've
agreement?
done that, we've done the same.
They're all new roads. All the roads are totally done.
Are the roads clear of vehicles?
It should be. If they're not, don't do it. I know which one you're talking about. If not, don't do it. But you can only talk blue so many times to him.
Yeah, we'll continue that agreement.
Thank you.
How? You handle that, won't you?
Yes.
It looks like Jeff handled it last year. I'll defer that to Jeff.
I had a couple rentals for the gym reach out. I already gave Jenny the check and the rental agreement for the one. They will be here tomorrow for basketball. And then Adam Roy, who rented last year for baseball, has reached out. He will be doing every Thursday from January 9th to March 20th. I have emailed him the rental agreement, but not have received anything back.
The basketball's
Tomorrow
baseball is still be.
And Thursday.
well, the baseball will be January 9th through March 20th, every Thursday.
But he has.
He has not. Yes, he has not.
Is that scheduling app still working for you? For the door?
Oh, the pin pad, yeah.
This time we'll go into executive session. ORC 121.2 G1 to discuss the road department employee.
Second.
I'm sorry.
Second.
Just-
My roll call, I guess.
Yes.
For those of you who haven't been in our meetings before, I mute the audio, but I do keep the video on just to have a constantly running record. So I will mute that now that they've adjourned into executive session.
After I do roll call.
After she does roll call, I'll shut up.
Mr. Perjinsky,
Yes.
Mr. Kern,
Yes.
Mr. Sheldon.
Yes.
Now you can mute it. Thank
I
you.
can mute it. Okay,
Thank you.
sorry. Correct.
Make a motion, we, reconvene from executive session.
Second.
Call.
Okay. Mr. Brzezinski,
Yes.
Mr. Kern.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yeah. And at this time, we will take action. You guys want, what do you guys want?
I'll make a motion that we modify or just add?
Just give him a raise.
We give Larry Berkshire a raise of 120.
$1.20
Correct.
per hour,
Second.
effective.
Immediately.
Anniversary date.
Oh,
We need to have it on a pay period start.
on the next pay period.
Well, I don't know what his anniversary date is. I looked at it beforehand, but I don't remember what it was now. Because their pay period will start on Saturday. This coming Saturday will be a new pay period. But I don't know what his anniversary date is.
Was it?
So are you saying that it's going to be effective Saturday?
Yeah.
Making it-
It has to be down. Okay.
Did you second that, Kelly?
Yes, it's been, there was a second.
All right, motion to pay the bills.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Correspondence,
We have none.
any adjourned?
How about a motion for,
Oh, I'll make a motion. How about that?
I need a second.
All right. I don't have my gavel.
What happened to the gavel?
It's still
in there.
working.
Stevie